The millionaire thought it was just a one-night stand, but 10 years later, a boy came looking for him. Welcome to Wise Stories. Please do remember to subscribe, like and share this video. The night was glittering with luxury and filled with the hum of polite conversations, clinking champagne glasses, and soft orchestral music. The grand ballroom of the prestigious Manhattan Hotel gleamed under crystal chandeliers, illuminating the city's elite gathered for the charity gala. Amid the swirl of designer dresses and tailored suits stood Daniel Crawford, a self-assured businessman known for his sharp mind and even sharper rise to wealth. His presence commanded attention wherever he went, and tonight was no different. Despite his success, Daniel often found these events tedious. All talk, no substance, he thought while adjusting his cufflinks. He lifted a glass of champagne from a passing tray and scanned the room with disinterest until his gaze settled on someone different. Emma Williams stood near a quiet corner, absent-mindedly brushing a lock of auburn hair behind her ear. She wasn't dressed in extravagant jewels or designer labels, her simple yet elegant navy gown reflected her personality, graceful and modest. Unlike most attendees chasing attention, Emma exuded a warmth that drew Daniel in despite himself. Curiosity got the better of him. "Excuse me," Daniel said smoothly as he approached. "You seem far too thoughtful for a party like this." Emma blinked in surprise, then smiled warmly. "Maybe you're right. It's not exactly my scene, but it's for a good cause." "And what brings you here if not the glamour?" Daniel asked, intrigued by her sincerity. "I'm a teacher," Emma explained. "The school I work for is one of the beneficiaries tonight. It's nice to see all these efforts coming together." "A teacher," Daniel mused. "Not many people here can say their work directly shapes the future." Emma chuckled softly. "Well, it's not exactly glamorous, but I love it." Her genuine passion was evident in her voice. The conversation flowed easily between them, surprising them both. Emma found herself intrigued by Daniel's sharp wit hidden beneath his polished exterior, while Daniel was captivated by her refreshing honesty and grounded perspective. The gala faded into the background as they talked, discovering shared interests and unexpected commonalities. "Would you like to get some air?" Daniel offered after a while. "It's getting stuffy in here." Emma hesitated briefly but nodded. "Sure." They stepped onto the balcony, where the cool night air provided relief from the bustling crowd inside. The city lights shimmered below them, creating a dazzling view. "Quite the view," Emma remarked, leaning on the railing. "It is," Daniel agreed, though his gaze remained on her rather than the skyline. "I can't remember the last time I had a conversation like this, without agendas or pretense." Emma turned to him, her expression thoughtful. "Sometimes the simplest things are the most meaningful." As the evening wore on, their connection deepened. The lines between casual banter and something more profound blurred. By the time they returned inside, Daniel knew this night wouldn't be easily forgotten. When the event began winding down, Daniel glanced at Emma. "Would you like to continue this conversation somewhere quieter?" Emma's eyes flickered with uncertainty before she nodded. "I think I would." They left the gala together, their decision unspoken yet understood. The night was no longer about charity events or social obligations, it had become about two people discovering something rare amidst the chaos of their lives. In the privacy of Daniel's upscale penthouse apartment, the connection they'd felt at the gala intensified. Conversations gave way to stolen glances, which turned into something neither could resist. For Daniel, it was a fleeting escape from the pressures of his world. For Emma, it was a moment of vulnerability, driven by the magnetic pull between them. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows, casting golden beams across the room. Emma stirred awake and glanced around, momentarily disoriented. Reality set in quickly, bringing with it a mixture of emotions. Daniel, already dressed for his day, stood near the window with a coffee cup in hand. He turned at the sound of her moving. "Good morning," he greeted smoothly. "Morning," Emma replied, sitting up. There was an awkward pause neither knew how to fill. "I'll have my driver take you home," Daniel offered politely but distantly. The warmth from the night before seemed to have vanished. Emma masked her disappointment with a smile. Thank you. Daniel sensed her change in demeanor but chose not to dwell on it. His life was not built for attachments or long-term connections. He'd learned that lesson long ago. Last night was unexpected, Daniel admitted. It was, Emma agreed softly, gathering her things. But thank you, for the conversation and the company. Their parting was polite but impersonal, as if both silently acknowledged that this was meant to be a single moment in time, not the beginning of something more. As Emma stepped into the waiting car, she glanced back at the sleek building. Part of her felt foolish for expecting anything different, but another part knew that night would stay with her regardless. Daniel watched from his window as the car pulled away, already shifting his focus back to work and responsibilities. He convinced himself that it was just another night in a life filled with fleeting encounters. Neither of them could have predicted how that night would shape their futures. For Daniel, it was simply a one-night stand. But for Emma, it marked the beginning of a life-changing journey she hadn't yet realized. The small town of Willow Creek was a far cry from the bustling city where Emma once met Daniel Crawford. Here, life was simple but not easy. The streets were quiet, lined with modest homes and small family-run businesses. It was in this quiet town that Emma chose to raise her son, Noah, far from the glitz and complications of Daniel's world. From the moment she discovered her pregnancy, Emma knew her life had changed forever. She had no illusions about Daniel coming to her rescue, he didn't even know Noah existed. That choice had been hers, and she stood by it. As difficult as being a single mother was, she poured her heart into raising her son with love, strength, and determination. Noah, breakfast is ready. Emma called from the kitchen one sunny morning. The aroma of scrambled eggs and toast filled their cozy home. A boy with tousled brown hair and bright green eyes bounded into the kitchen. "Coming, Mom," he shouted, sliding into his chair at the small wooden table. Emma placed a plate in front of him and smiled. "Eat up. You've got soccer practice after school today." Noah grinned between bites. "Coach said I'm getting faster." "I'm sure you are," Emma chuckled. "All that running around the house probably helps." Their mornings were filled with chatter and laughter, masking the challenges Emma faced balancing her teaching job and raising Noah on her own. Money was tight, but she made sure her son never felt it. What they lacked in luxury, they made up for in love and creativity. Picnics at the park, homemade crafts, and bedtime stories filled their days. Still, there were moments when Noah's questions about his father caught Emma off guard. One evening, as they sat on the couch reading together, Noah suddenly closed the book and looked at her. "Mom?" he asked softly. "Yes, sweetheart. Why don't I have a dad like other kids?" Emma felt her heart tighten. She had always known this day would come, but that didn't make it any easier. She took a deep breath and chose her words carefully. "Every family looks different," she said gently. "Some kids have two parents, some have one, and some are raised by grandparents or other people who love them. Our family is just you and me, and that's pretty special." "But where is he?" Noah pressed. "My dad, I mean." Emma placed a hand on his shoulder. "Your dad lives far away, and he doesn't know about you. But what matters most is that you are loved, Noah. Always." Though Noah accepted her answer for now, Emma knew the questions would only grow as he got older. For years, she had shielded him from the truth, not out of shame, but because she believed he deserved to be raised without the complications Daniel's world would bring. Meanwhile, Daniel continued his life in the city, unaware of his son. His days were filled with high-stakes business deals, travel, and social events. Despite his success, there were moments when a strange emptiness crept into his life, though he pushed those thoughts aside. Back in Willow Creek, Emma juggled her teaching job while making sure Noah thrived in school and extracurricular activities. Her colleagues often marveled at her resilience. "I don't know how you do it," her friend and fellow teacher, Lisa, said one afternoon as they graded papers together. "Raising a kid on your own and still managing to teach a class full of third graders? You're a superhero." Emma smiled wearily. "Some days it feels like it, other days, not so much. But Noah makes it all worth it. Lisa leaned closer. He's a great kid. You've done an amazing job. Despite the praise, Emma couldn't shake the nagging worry about what would happen when Noah learned the full truth. Would he resent her for keeping Daniel out of his life? Would Daniel even care if he ever found out? For now, though, life continued peacefully in their little home. Emma focused on the present, on raising Noah to be a kind and independent young boy who understood the value of hard work and compassion. She taught him to help others, to stand up for what was right, and to appreciate the simple joys in life. One evening, as they worked together on a school project at the dining table, Noah looked up at her with a thoughtful expression. "Mom," he said, "do you think I can be a soccer player and a scientist when I grow up?" Emma laughed softly. "You can be anything you want to be, Noah." He grinned. "Even a superhero?" "Especially a superhero," Emma replied, ruffling his hair. Though their journey was far from easy, Emma knew they had built something strong together. Love, trust, and determination were the foundation of their little family. And while the secret of Noah's father lingered in the background, for now, Emma cherished these moments with her son, knowing that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. Noah's 10th birthday dawned bright and cheerful. Balloons floated near the kitchen ceiling, and a homemade banner that read "Happy Birthday, Noah," hung above the window. Emma had done her best to make the day special despite their modest means. A small stack of presents sat on the dining table next to a chocolate cake she had baked the night before. "Make a wish, Noah," Emma encouraged as she lit the candles on the cake. Noah grinned, closing his eyes tightly before blowing out all 10 candles in one breath. "Got them all," he cheered. Emma laughed. "Good job. I hope your wish comes true." After opening his gifts, a new soccer ball, a sketchbook, and a few action figures, Noah seemed unusually quiet. He stared at the table, lost in thought. Emma sensed something was on his mind. "Everything okay, sweetheart?" she asked gently. Noah nodded slowly but then glanced up at her. "Mom, can I ask you something?" "Of course. What's on your mind?" His small hands fidgeted nervously. "It's about my dad." Emma's heart skipped a beat. She had always known this conversation would come, but it still caught her off guard. "What about him?" she asked carefully. "Do you think he knows it's my birthday?" Noah's voice was soft but filled with curiosity. Emma swallowed hard. "No, honey, he doesn't." "Why not?" Noah pressed. "Where is he? Who is he?" Emma hesitated, weighing her words. She had always tried to protect Noah from the complexities of the truth, but he deserved honesty. After a long pause, she said, "Your father's name is Daniel Crawford. He's a businessman who lives in the city. When we met, I never told him about you." Noah's brow furrowed. "Why didn't you tell him?" "I thought it was best to raise you on my own," Emma explained gently. "It had nothing to do with you, Noah. You're perfect. I just didn't want to complicate things." "Don't you think he'd want to know about me?" Noah asked quietly. Emma sighed. "Maybe. But life doesn't always work out the way we expect. I didn't want you to get hurt." Noah sat quietly for a moment, his expression thoughtful. Finally, he looked up with determination in his eyes. "I want to meet him." "Noah, wait," Emma began, but he shook his head. "I'm 10 now, Mom. I need to know who my dad is." Emma felt torn. She understood his desire to know his father, but the thought of Noah facing possible rejection from Daniel filled her with dread. "It's not that simple, sweetheart. He lives far away, and I don't know how he'll react." "I don't care," Noah said firmly. "I need to try. Please, Mom." Despite her reservations, Emma saw that Noah's mind was made up. His persistence reminded her so much of Daniel that it almost made her smile. "Okay," she said reluctantly. "But if you really want to do this, I need to help you. I don't want you running off to the city by yourself." I promise I'll be careful, Noah said earnestly. But I have to meet him, Mom. Over the next few days, Emma tried to dissuade him, hoping he might change his mind. But Noah remained determined. Finally, she realized that stopping him might only make things worse. He deserved the chance to find his father, even if it terrified her. One crisp Saturday morning, Emma packed Noah's backpack with snacks, water, and a map of the city. I'm going with you, she told him firmly. No, Mom, Noah said, shaking his head. I need to do this on my own. Emma stared at him, unsure whether to let him go. But there was something resolute in his eyes, something that told her he needed to take this step alone. After a long pause, she nodded reluctantly. Promise me you'll be safe and call me the moment you need help. I promise, Noah said, hugging her tightly. Thanks, Mom. I love you. I love you too, Noah, Emma whispered, her voice thick with emotion. As the bus pulled away from the quiet streets of Willow Creek, Emma watched from the curb, her heart heavy with worry. She had given him Daniel's address and hoped against hope that things would go smoothly. Noah, meanwhile, sat by the window, excitement and nerves battling inside him. The city loomed ahead, big and bustling, unlike anything he had ever seen. But despite the overwhelming sights and sounds, his determination remained unshaken. He had to meet his father. When the bus finally arrived at its destination, Noah stepped off with wide eyes, clutching the slip of paper with Daniel's office address. The towering skyscrapers seemed to stretch endlessly into the sky, but he didn't feel intimidated. This is it, he whispered to himself, taking a deep breath. Time to meet my dad. As he made his way toward the sleek office building in the heart of the city, Noah couldn't help but wonder what Daniel Crawford was like. Would his father recognize him? Would he even care? One thing was certain, Noah was ready to find out. And no matter what happened, this journey would change their lives forever. The revolving glass doors of Crawford Enterprises gleamed in the afternoon sun. Noah stood outside the massive skyscraper, craning his neck to take in its full height. People in suits hurried past him, their faces focused and serious, but Noah remained rooted to the spot, clutching a folded piece of paper with his father's name and office number scrawled on it. This is it, he whispered to himself, steeling his nerves. Inside the building, polished floors reflected the overhead lights, and the air hummed with quiet efficiency. Noah approached the front desk, where a receptionist smiled politely. Can I help you, young man? She asked kindly. I'm here to see Mr. Daniel Crawford, Noah said confidently. He's my dad. The receptionist blinked in surprise. Your dad? Yes, Noah said firmly. I need to talk to him. Unsure of how to handle the situation, the receptionist made a quick call. Within minutes, a sharply dressed assistant appeared and knelt slightly to speak to Noah. Are you here alone, young man? Noah nodded. Yes. I just need to see him. It's really important. The assistant hesitated but decided to take him up to Daniel's office. Follow me, she instructed gently. As they rode the elevator up to the executive floor, Noah's heart thudded in his chest. He kept reminding himself that he had every right to be there. When the doors slid open, the assistant led him through a maze of glass-walled offices until they reached a corner room with floor-to-ceiling windows. Inside, Daniel Crawford sat behind a sleek desk, reviewing documents on his tablet. His tailored suit and composed demeanor made him seem every bit the powerful businessman he was known to be. Mr. Crawford, the assistant announced carefully, this young man insists he needs to speak with you. Daniel glanced up, his brow furrowing. I'm in the middle of something important, his words faltered as his eyes landed on Noah. Who are you? Noah took a deep breath. I'm Noah. And you're my dad. Silence blanketed the room. Daniel stared at the boy in disbelief, unsure whether this was some bizarre prank or mistake. I think there's been a misunderstanding, he said stiffly. I don't have a son. You do, Noah insisted, stepping closer. My mom is Emma Williams. She told me you're my father. The mention of Emma's name made Daniel pause. Memories of a long-ago night flickered in his mind. Emma, he repeated quietly, almost to himself. That was, years ago. 10 years, Noah confirmed. I just turned 10. Daniel stood, trying to process the boy's words. If this is some kind of joke. It's not a joke. Noah interrupted, his voice steady despite the tension in the room. Mom didn't tell you about me, but I'm your son. I came here to meet you. Daniel rubbed a hand over his face, his usual composure slipping. This is unexpected. He turned to his assistant. Can you give us a moment? The assistant nodded and left, closing the door behind her. Daniel leaned against his desk, crossing his arms. Look, kid, I don't know what Emma told you, but this is a lot to take in. How do I know you're telling the truth? Noah met his gaze directly. We can take a test or whatever you need. I just want to know you. The boy's sincerity struck Daniel. He saw no hint of deception in those green eyes, eyes that were eerily familiar. Still, Daniel wasn't ready to fully accept the truth without proof. Okay, Daniel relented, his tone cautious. If you're serious about this, we'll do a DNA test. I need to be sure. Fine, Noah agreed without hesitation. I'm not lying. A few days later, Daniel received the test results. He sat in his office, staring at the paper in disbelief. The evidence was irrefutable, Noah was his son. The reality hit him like a punch to the gut. He had a child, an entire decade of his life had passed without him knowing. That afternoon, Daniel invited Noah and Emma to his office. When they arrived, Emma's expression was guarded, though she held Noah's hand tightly. Daniel cleared his throat. Emma, I think we need to talk. I figured, she said quietly. Turning to Noah, Daniel softened his tone. Noah, could you wait outside for a moment? I need to speak to your mom. Noah glanced between them before nodding. Okay. Once he was gone, Daniel faced Emma. Why didn't you tell me? Emma's jaw tightened. I made the best decision I could at the time. You weren't exactly the type to settle down and play dad, Daniel. You didn't even give me a chance, he shot back, though there was no anger in his voice, only frustration. Emma sighed. Maybe I didn't. But I didn't want Noah growing up with complications. I wanted to protect him. Daniel ran a hand through his hair. I get it. But things are different now. I want to be part of his life. Emma's eyes softened. Then prove it, Daniel. Noah needs a father, not just a businessman who pops in when it's convenient. I'm willing to try, Daniel promised. If you'll let me. Emma nodded slowly. That's up to Noah. He's the one who made this choice to find you. When Noah returned, Daniel knelt to his eye level. Noah, I want to get to know you. I want to be the dad you came looking for. A smile tugged at Noah's lips. I'd like that too. Though the path ahead was uncertain, one thing was clear, this unexpected reunion was the beginning of something new, a chance for healing and growth they all needed. The early morning sun cast a warm glow over the park as Noah kicked a soccer ball back and forth with Daniel. Laughter filled the air as they chased the ball together, their shouts of excitement mingling with the cheerful chirps of birds. Though Daniel's suit and tie had once been a symbol of his identity, today he wore casual clothes, blending seamlessly into the world of fathers and sons. Nice kick. Daniel called out, catching the ball with his foot before sending it back toward Noah. You're getting better, Dad. Noah grinned, his face flushed with happiness. Daniel chuckled. The title still felt new and strange, but each time Noah called him Dad, it chipped away at the emotional walls he had built over the years. Their journey to this point hadn't been easy. After the DNA test confirmed their connection, Daniel had committed to being present in Noah's life. At first, his attempts were awkward, business strategies didn't translate well to parenting. But he was determined to learn, no matter how many mistakes he made along the way. One evening, Daniel stood at Emma's doorstep, a bouquet of daisies in hand. The scent of fresh flowers mingled with the crisp evening air. Emma opened the door and blinked in surprise. "Daniel?" "Hi," he said, a bit nervously. "I brought these for you." He extended the flowers awkwardly. "I thought daisies were your favorite." Emma accepted them cautiously. "They are. Thank you." "I wanted to apologize," Daniel said earnestly. "For not being there all those years. I know I can't change the past, but I want to do better now, for both of you." Emma leaned against the doorframe, her expression thoughtful. "It's not just about showing up, Daniel. Being a parent takes more than just visits and gifts. It's about being there for the hard parts too." "I understand," Daniel assured her. "I'm trying to learn. Noah's shown me what I missed, and I don't want to miss any more." Her gaze softened slightly. "Noah seems happy you're here. That means something." "I care about him, Emma," Daniel said sincerely. "And I care about you too." Emma's heart stirred at his words, but she kept her guard up. "Let's see how things go," she said cautiously. "We'll take it one step at a time." Weeks turned into months as Daniel proved his commitment. He adjusted his work schedule to spend weekends with Noah, coaching him in soccer and helping with school projects. They shared laughs over simple things, like baking cookies that ended up more burnt than baked and building model airplanes together. "Careful with the glue," Daniel warned one afternoon, watching as Noah carefully attached a wing to the plane. "You're the one who spilled it last time," Noah teased, grinning. Daniel laughed. Guilty as charged. Despite their growing bond, Daniel still had moments of doubt. "Am I doing okay as a dad?" he asked Emma one evening after Noah had gone to bed. Emma smiled softly. "You're doing just fine. Noah sees your effort, that's what matters most." "Thank you," Daniel said quietly. "I couldn't have done this without your patience." Their conversations became less tense over time, filled with mutual respect and shared stories about Noah's quirks and achievements. Slowly, trust began to rebuild between them. One chilly afternoon, Daniel invited both Emma and Noah to his home for dinner. It was the first time they had shared a meal together as a family. "This pasta is awesome, Dad," Noah said between bites. "Glad you like it," Daniel chuckled. "Though your mom helped me with the recipe over the phone." Emma laughed lightly. "I figured you might need a little guidance." They fell into easy conversation, laughter filling the dining room. For the first time, it felt like they were truly beginning to build something new, something stronger than before. As they cleared the table, Noah looked up at his parents. "Does this mean we're a family now?" Emma and Daniel exchanged glances. Emma reached out to ruffle Noah's hair. "We've always been a family, Noah. But now it's just growing." Daniel smiled warmly. "That's right. And I promise I'm here to stay." Noah beamed. "Good. Because I kind of like having you around, Dad." Daniel chuckled. "I like being around too, buddy." The evening ended with them gathered in the living room, Noah reading aloud from his favorite book while Emma and Daniel listened. In the weeks that followed, they continued building their future together, grounded in love and trust. Daniel transformed from a cold businessman to a caring father, a journey that had reshaped his heart and priorities. Emma, once wary, found herself letting go of past hurts and embracing the hope of a new chapter. Their path had not been without challenges, but the love they shared proved strong enough to heal even the deepest wounds. And in that love, they found the strength to build a new future, one where they were not just three individuals, but a family bonded by understanding, forgiveness, and joy.